To it, Joan. Would you please stand now and join in our opening song, A New Hallelujah. Just as the reader's coming up there, if you see that graphic up there, if I were to say that that was a parishioner of ours, would you know who it was? Yeah. Aiden. That is Aiden on the beach.
go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him about whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." When Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him, he said of him, "Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." Nathanael asked him, "Where did you get to know me?" Jesus answered, "I saw you under the fig tree before Philip called you." Nathanael replied, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus answered, "Do you believe because I told you that I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than these." And Jesus said to him, "Very truly I tell you, you will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man." The Gospel of Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The idea to have a highly celebrated classical violinist and accomplished conductor, Joshua Bell, playing incognito, was actually organized by the Washington Post as part of a social experiment about perception, taste, and priorities of people. Do we perceive beauty? Do we stop to appreciate it? Do we recognize talent in an unexpected context? Would you have stopped to hear Joshua's music? Maybe it would depend on what kind of day or year you were having. Some days we are oblivious to the world, and other days we are keenly attentive. On such a day, we might not only have stopped, we might have texted a friend to come and see someone extraordinary playing the violin. Or we may have felt the very first spark inside us of a passion for music, as maybe one of those children did. And a desire to play ourselves, which in turn might open up a whole new world for us. The music might have taken us an entirely different path, given a lightness to our step, a softening of our heart, enough that the strain we are feeling at home or work also lifts, and a relationship consequently saved or work problem resolved. That's basically what Philip did. Oh, I was going to say we're now at the lakeshore. When he paused on his way home, most likely after a long day of work, to listen to Jesus. We would think he would have what he is going to have for dinner on his mind, or maybe the worries about his work or his finances. But Philip, maybe without knowing it, is at a turning point in his life. Something is about to happen, something huge. While doing what he does every day, heading home. But today there is, in a sense, music in the air. A man is speaking words that pierce his heart and awaken his imagination. Philip is so impressed that he lets the presence and the words of Jesus fill him. And when Jesus asks him to follow him, Philip says, "Yes." I wonder how many people also saw Jesus that day, but were too busy with the grocery list or worries to stop and listen. Or they stopped, but they were too preoccupied to pay attention. Philip, for reasons unknown, was as open as anyone ever could be for something to happen, to impact on his life, to turn him. Jesus' words entered his mind and imagination, filled his soul, and expanded his heart. Now Jesus, interesting, and this is rarely commented on, was also paying attention to what the moment held, and he perceives in Philip a quality of strength of character that he needs in disciples.
And Jesus is drawn to ask Philip to follow him. And Philip says yes. Philip then contacts Nathanael, who is likely his buddy and is a fisherman, who basically says, I'm not going to change my day around to see this man, let alone follow him. Besides, what good comes from that town of Nazareth? You could say London, if you're St. Thomas, I don't know. You've all been there. You go to a friend with your joy and enthusiasm you're about to burst. You've got a new idea, you've made a big decision, and their words can in an instant burst your bubble. Drummy? Don't be ridiculous. You have no time to take that up. Engaged? You know you have commitment issues. But Philip persists. Just come and see. And Nathanael did and followed. Are we aware that in things ordinary or extraordinary that happen in our day, precious moments open up for us to meet God, to perceive beauty, to stop to appreciate it, and let it touch us? We meet someone or experience something that presents us with a choice to go one way or another. And in the going another way, the very door to our happiness and fullness of life opens wider and lets in all kinds of beautiful sunlight and possibility. Now, I suspect if I asked you when your life led you a certain direction, was there a moment that you can identify a change in your attitude or direction? You would likely speak of the impact of maybe one person or one incident or thought that caught your attention, made you turn to notice, and it moved you to reconsider the direction of your life and go as the Magi did after they saw young Jesus home another way. To the young boy Samuel asleep at night comes a sound too, a beautiful sound. It's not a classical music, but someone calling his name. And it is worth breaking his sleep and leaving his warm little cozy bed to rise and follow it. Several times he thinks it's Eli, the old priest, who's mentoring him in the ways of temple worship. But Eli wisely tells him to go back to bed and next time respond to the voice with the words, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening," and "Here I am." And the rest is biblical history. Samuel will lead the nation with prophecy and faith. This turning, interestingly, was preceded by another turning of his parents, who knew, hard as it was, that they would let the boy go to be raised in a consecrated life in the temple by an elder priest, Eli. It's hard for us to see this, but in those days, children were sometimes seen as having a calling in this way, and by as young as 3 were left the family home and lived in the temple to be trained in the ways of the temple, and that's what Samuel was doing here. And as we know, hard as that decision was and a turning, that led to a blessing for the whole nation in Samuel's prophecies. Now, in our Advent study of Sting, and I know there are many here who went, we watched in Sting singing of the Hurdy-Gurdy Man, a series of photos of people's reaction to street musicians of very modest means. And someone in the study group asked, "Did you notice the children?" And she went on, "The children are taking in the music, and they're the ones who want to turn from their parents and linger and offer a gift. They see because they are led at this point in their life by a sense of wonder and what the present moment offers. And in seeing and paying attention to what is around them, they are willing to let go of their pennies intended for a treat at the candy store for this moment of wonder and delight." Many times in life, God is calling you to come and see, as Jesus called the disciples today and Samuel the boy to the gift of prophecy. Samuel would be seeing where others had lost their vision and ability to listen. Perhaps most importantly, they didn't know how simple it is to keep ourselves open to beauty, wonder, and God-drenched moments. It begins simply with this: "Here I am." This was a little boy's first gift to the world. He learned to say, "Here I am." Many times in life we let go and begin again. Sometimes we are ready and sometimes we are not. We are gripped with fear, and the turning intended for a day takes a lifetime. But thankfully God is patient and created time so he can wait in it. We turn from one way to another, and suddenly we know we have passed a point we will never pass again. Turning points interrupt us, they shake us up, excite us and stretch us, mature us. Time turns, and sometimes they take us where we had no intention of going. And God helps us to reimagine our lives, and often we receive visions of where we are going that inspire us to move forward to in the future, mindful, noticing points of grace. So whether we are young or old, in big and small ways, we're always starting over. We're always beginning again. And if we are paying attention, we notice the beautiful things God sends to guide us. We notice how the inner and the outer landscape around us keeps changing. And in the changing is changing us. And so I conclude by saying again, what God asks of us is to simply say, perhaps as you get up in the morning, "Here I am, Lord. Speak, your servant is listening." Do you remember last week how we followed the life of Brian Evans? And do you remember how he wonderfully put it last week? He said, "I am not lost. I am here." Maybe this is one of the most profound acts and professions of faith that God requires of us. To rise each day and rest each night with the words on our lips, "Here I am." Amen.
Let us now stand and confess the faith of our